La Plana. Wait, is it El Plan? La Plana? What is map? That's not. Anyway, that's the wrong word.
I am in no way a Latino or Spanish, so I apologize.
You don't speak any Spanish?
I don't.
That's all right.
Hola. That's
You
it.
do not need to apologize. You, sir, do not need to apologize. Are you ready to do this?
Let's do it. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Wow.
I know. It's all headlines today. It's crazy.
Yes. All right.
All right. Here we go. Oh, ha! I'm streaming over here and I can hear myself. Go away. Okay, here we go.
The Daily Tech News Show was brought to you today by me. If you would like to bring it to someone, visit patreon.com/acedetect. That's patreon.com/ACEDTECT.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, March 2nd, 2015. I'm Todd Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Lamarr Wilson, host, showcaser, and internet personality.
I have so many titles. I love it. I change it every show just to keep you on your toes, you know.
I also like Monarch of All He Surveys.
That's a good one, too.
It's another good one.
Yes.
But we could do this all day. We don't have time. There's so much news coming out of Mobile World Congress. Can you believe this?
Yeah, just don't look me directly in my eyes, and then we can continue. We're
apologize, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. All right, let's pretty much the whole show. In fact, except for the emails, the whole show is going to be headlines. Here you go. Google's Sundar Pichai dropped some announcement bombs at Mobile World Congress. Project Titan is about to be where Project Loon was a couple years ago. That is taking its first steps to actually being tried. If you don't know the difference, Titan delivers internet by drone, whereas Loon does it by balloon, hence the name. I don't know. I guess the Titan drones might be made out of titanium. This is a good way. I'm trying to think of a mnemonic.
Yeah.
In addition to continuing to experiment with balloons and drones for delivering data, the company plans to launch an experimental mobile network in the U.S. in the coming months, quote unquote. As an MVNO, that means that they would use a carrier's network and then piggyback on top of it.
Like
the network will be rolled out in cooperation with unnamed mobile carrier partners and will combine Wi-Fi and LTE for coverage. Side note here, TechCrunch reports that Pichai said the company does not intend to be a network operator at scale. Interestingly, T-Mobile also announced a combined Wi-Fi and LTE network in the Wi-Fi bands coming in 2016. Lamarr, can we just guess right now that T-Mobile is one of the carriers that Google's working with?
I think that's safe to assume. Then it'll be Sprint as well. They'll start small.
Yeah, that's usually, yeah. Sprint is one of the biggest MVNO providers.
Absolutely.
T-Mobile wants to be, so yeah, it makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. It is one of these weird things where Google is saying, we're going to get into this business, but don't worry, we don't want to actually compete with you. We just want to drive you to innovate. And if I were one of the incumbents, I'd be like, why don't you just leave yourself out of it? Thank you.
Yeah, they're definitely going to. I don't know why they didn't do this earlier. It was inevitable for them to either own space or buy one of them.
Yeah. Pichai's not done yet. He also said he works closely with Magic Leap and used Google Translate as an example of something the mythical AR product can improve. Magic Leap, of course, is the most popular product in Silicon Valley that no one has ever seen in public.
That's awesome.
He also mentioned Google Pay. This is not a competitor to Google Wallet. It's actually a project to give app developers a consistent backend to operate mobile payments in their own apps. Google would provide API access and a secure way to store payment info as well as tokenized card numbers. That's the way Apple Pay works as well for any app maker. So you could make like a loyalty card that you could resupply or a gift card or something like that. Pretty much, Lamarr, everything Pichai said was a big Google I/O teaser trailer.
Pretty much. Yeah, but we still have to pay $1,500 to go.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna watch on the web. But yeah, this is all like, hey, here's a little tidbit. Not gonna give you any details, but check out I/O because we'll be talking then.
All right.
Not to be outdone, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg told the Mobile World Congress audience that Facebook is still building drones, lasers, and satellites of its own in order to spread internet around the world as part of the Internet.org project. According to Mashable, Zuck even said he'd love to do more in cooperation with Google on the project, although he did downplay the lasers and satellites, saying most of the Internet.org infrastructure will be delivered through more traditional means. CNET noted that responding to a concern from Telenor Group CEO John Frederick Baxas, Zuckerberg emphasized that apps like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp, which compete with the carrier's own messaging services, which is what the Telenor Group is concerned about, those apps will not be included in Internet.org offerings. Zuck's like, we will not compete with you. We will not put WhatsApp in Internet.org, so please go ahead and sign up for Internet.org if you want. GigaOM reports that Mario Zanotti, SVP of Operations at Millicom, said that data users rose 30% in Paraguay and 10 times in Tanzania after rolling out Internet.org on his mobile network.
Oh.
So Zuck's out there saying, look, we're actually doing this, Google, while Google is saying, we're going to do this. We've got balloons in the air. We've got drones about to take off.
I don't know. We get it, but would the public understand balloons, drones, and it just sounds very, very eerie and scary that these things are flying above us to supply the internet to everyone. I don't know. That's a scary thought.
The drones thing, particularly with all of the mostly unrelated associations that we have with it, is an interesting one. And Google's not going to be able to operate Project Titan in the U.S. anytime soon with the way the FAA is clamping down on commercial use of drones here. So, yeah, this is a harder road than maybe you might think. On the other hand, in places where they're underserved with internet access, if all of a sudden Google or Facebook comes in and says, hey, guess what, internet access, people are going to say, great, well, how do I sign up? How do I access it? So, Reuters reports HP says it will buy Wi-Fi networking gear maker Aruba Networks for around $2.7 billion. That would be HP's biggest acquisition since Autonomy PLC in 2011. You remember how well that went. It did not go well. The acquisition would boost HP's share of enterprise WLAN markets, Wi-Fi markets, from 4 to 5% currently to an additional 10 to 13% of Aruba's current market share. So you can figure 14, 15% at the least. HP still plans to separate its computer and printer business from its enterprise hardware and services business, but that hasn't happened yet. That's scheduled to happen later this year.
All right.
TechCrunch reports SGP Technologies announced the Blackphone 2 at Mobile World Congress. The new security-focused phone has an all-glass front and rear, along with a 5.5-inch full HD display, 64-bit processor, and more RAM. It goes on sale this summer. Silent Circle also showed a prototype of an 8-inch tablet called Blackphone Plus, set for an autumn release. SGP also announced a tablet-based secure audio conferencing system called Silent Meeting. And, of course, Silent Circle just bought out SGP, so they're almost interchangeable, although they're still two different corporate structures. A lot of people are thinking that Blackphone is moving in on BlackBerry's space as the secure enterprise choice, or at least they'd like to.
Yeah. You know, Tom, I'd just like to say it's good and great to hear that my people finally have their own phone. It's been a long time coming. We've had so much struggle. So we couldn't even get into Oscars, but now we have our own phone. I'm very happy about this.
So by that,
yeah.
You're saying Dutch because
absolutely.
I think it's a Dutch company?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Say it loud. I'm Blackphone, and you can't spy on me because it's very secure.
There you go.
Is that how the song goes?
It is now.
Intel has announced a slate of new mobile processors for Mobile World Congress, according to Wired. The X3 is an inexpensive entry-level system on a chip with either 3G or 4G LTE modem, Bluetooth, and x86 architecture. The X5 and X7 are positioned as mid- and high-end chips, and also the first 14-nanometer system on a chips designed for tablets. Both chips have double the graphics power of previous Intel chips and support for features like RealSense 3D and TrueKey face recognition password authentication, all, they say, without reducing battery life. Intel also announced a new LTE advanced modem, the XMM 7360, which promises more stable connections and download speeds of 450 megabits per second using carrier aggregation. Devices featuring the modem are supposed to appear in the second half of the year. X3 devices will ship this quarter, while quad-core 3G and LTE versions, as well as X5 and X7 devices, will come in the second half of the year. This is Intel's big play. They're like, we want to be in the mobile space. Here's our chips.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, because this is information I don't know personally, who is using Intel? Because does Samsung have their own chips, or another company that uses Apple obviously has their own?
Well, Apple sometimes use Samsung chips, and Samsung sometimes use Qualcomm chips.
Right.
And there are several phones, more of them outside of the U.S., that are using the Atom chips. But yeah, this is Intel saying we need to get these into more of the phones because, like you say, most of the time when you hear a chip, it's either an Exynos or a Snapdragon, and Intel would like that to be now X3, X5, and X7.
Got it.
9 to 5 Mac reports Apple CEO Tim Cook told Apple Store employees in Berlin last week that the Apple Watch will launch in Germany in April. The first indication the watch would launch in multiple countries. So if you're not going to be around, Lamarr,
I might be in Germany.
Yeah. You might go to Germany. No, we're probably going to get a worldwide launch. Probably not every market at once. They usually stagger these a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a U.S. only launch. I think a lot of people thought, well, the first iPhone was U.S. only, so maybe the Apple Watch will be U.S. only at first. But that was a long time ago. I think it's easier to do this.
Yeah, I think production is ramped up enough for that.
Gamasutra reports that Unreal Engine 4 is now completely free to download for everybody. If you've been a subscriber and you've been paying for this, you get the rights to develop on the engine as before, and you'll receive a prorated refund for the current monthly charge. Anyone who has ever had a subscription is going to receive a $30 credit for the Unreal Engine Marketplace. So they're treating people right. They're like, you know what? Even if you don't subscribe currently, we're still going to give you something because we're making this thing free. It's working out so well. Of course, development is now free, but royalties stay the same. On sales of games that use the engine, you owe them 5% on gross revenue of every project after the first $3,000 earned.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere about this that this is a big development because Origin charges a $4,500 fee to develop for their platform. And you're like, so if you and I were developing a game, there's no way we can come up with that kind of money. So it kind of hurts smaller developers. So this is great for small developers to get their feet wet and get in there.
And it looks like Unreal is saying that, you know what, we're not seeing any downside to reducing the price, so let's just get rid of the price. Let's make our money on when the games sell. The more games that get made on our engine, the more are likely to sell, and the more money we make, which makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, we got a lot. We got a few more headlines. CNET reports Alcatel launched a reversible phone called the One Touch Idol 3. Reversible means that you can pick it up upside down and talk on it. It's got a mic on both ends.
Oh, I was thinking something else. Okay.
Yeah, you can't actually bend it like a coat. Doesn't work that way. They also announced a 6-inch Hero 2 Plus phablet for $299. And the cool thing is both of these are running Cyanogen OS. So getting a lot of Cyanogen news out of Mobile World Congress.
Awesome.
Ars Technica reports despite Google's frequent claims that Lollipop would come with encryption by default, this seems to now only apply to Nexus devices. The latest version of the Android compatibility definition document gives carriers an out, saying, quote, "It is very strongly recommended, as we expect this to change to must in the future versions of Android." So not quite yet for all phones, and it's suspected that they backed off a little because of performance issues around the Nexus 6. And they wanted to give carriers a little more time. I bet they do it next time, though.
Yeah, it's interesting how they jumped so fast because Apple announced their encryption, and they just weren't ready for it. So it's... Yeah.
I have a Nexus 9. It's got the encryption on by default. The only thing I've noticed, and I don't know if this is related to encryption or not, every so often, maybe now once every month, I'll wake it from sleep, swipe it up, and I get a black screen. The launcher doesn't come into effect.
Interesting.
I don't know if that could not be encryption at all, but that is the only thing that could even be related to that. Otherwise, the performance seems quite good. Ars Technica also notes that OS X 10.10.3 beta is now public, bringing the new Photos app with it. If you're like to try out beta software, you can find out more at appleseed.apple.com/sp/beta program.
I was wondering if Photos is going to be a free app or something you have to pay for. It looks like it's going to be included with the operating system.
Yeah, I think so. And my guess is you might have to pay for it if you don't upgrade. But if you upgrade, you'll get it as part of the upgrade, which they make the upgrades free. So if they did that, I would be like, well, why wouldn't you just upgrade? But maybe they'll just make it free for everybody. Or maybe they'll actually more. Now that I'm talking out loud, Lamar, I think what they'll do is say Photos will be part of OS X 10.10.3. If you don't get that operating system, you don't get Photos.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Star Fury Zeta sent us the news that Google Plus has changed leadership again. Ars Technica reports that Bradley Horowitz has taken over for Dave Besbris, who took over for Vic Gundotra 11 months ago. Some recent comments by high-ranking Googlers seem to indicate that Hangouts will be split out from G+. Horowitz referred to his department as Photos and Stream Products now. So third boss and third name.
Yeah, I read this earlier, and I was like, part of me, I've been wanting them to have an Instagram competitor for the longest. Like, Google is so slow on that. The photos is amazing. They should have spun it out a long time ago. But I hope, my hope with Google, I say this very, very slowly, but my hope with Google Plus is that they do something to salvage this, to save it. And maybe this is it, but they got to get rid of the brand name is dead. They cannot repair that brand name of Google Plus. That's
yeah. I think you got to change the name, and maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe that's the first step of calling it Streams and Products as part of that. There's a larger issue here for me though. Like, we're doing the show over a Hangout right now. That's a Hangout on air, which is different than a Hangout when I'm just texting you like I was earlier. Right. That is also a Hangout, and so there's confusion there. There's confusion that Hangouts is actually part of Google Plus, but I stream it to YouTube. So why isn't it really just part of YouTube? And yet the Google Plus, there is such confusion about what belongs where. Some of it is just naming, which you might dismiss, but it's confusing if you're trying to figure out what pieces go in what parts. And some of it is product replication and overlap. I really would like to see them streamline all of that, not just in Google Plus, but across the Google product library. And I know that's what Larry Page has been hammering away at.
Yeah. So, it's weird because we expect something like that from Microsoft, who's huge, and their departments are split up so much. It doesn't feel like Google is split up that much, but I guess they're becoming that big where their overlap is happening. It was actually surprising to see this happening with Google Plus.
Yeah. By the way, these are our News for You subreddit submissions at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Cosmic Vibes sent us this Register UK story that BlackBerry has announced it will port key client features like the soft keyboard, universal search, and hub to iPhone and Android in the enterprise. BlackBerry will offer 3 bundles: the Security Suite, which includes containers, authentication, and VPN features, the Communications Suite, and a Productivity Suite. All bundles will require a BlackBerry server and will only be available to consumers if their mobile provider makes it available to them. So this is BlackBerry's response to Blackphone, saying, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be the provider across platform of really good communications and enterprise management tools.
Do what you got to do to stay alive.
David Polanco pointed out the Engadget story that SanDisk showed off a 200 gigabyte micro SD card that still transfers at 90 megabytes a second, and it only costs $400 when it ships in Q2. Well, we'll pick up a couple of them, right?
Yeah, and then they also had a 512 gigabyte one for $800.
Oh,
that's another
that's
one
all.
Yeah, exactly.
$800 cheap.
I ordered 10 because it's like I just want to have them here, and
you
I'm
ordered some
lying
for your friends,
I
right?
never afford that. Yeah, the 3 that I have exactly.
More news from Mobile World Congress. Is instead of a discussion section, we're just going to talk about stuff that's happening at Mobile World Congress. Samsung had an uncharacteristically straightforward announcement yesterday. No dancing, no singing, no skits. Just the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge smartphones and a new version of Gear VR for these phones. I'll run through the announcements real quick for anybody who missed them. But Lamarr, I know you've got some thoughts about this. The S6 has a 5.1-inch Super AMOLED screen capable of 577 pixels per inch, has an Exynos octa-core processor with 3 gigabytes of LPDDR4 RAM, options from 32 to 128 gigabytes of storage, however, no more SD card slot, built-in wireless charging for WPCA and PMA standards, that includes Qi charging, but no more removable battery, which my wife is very upset about. The fingerprint scanner no longer requires a swipe. The S6 Edge is essentially the S6, but with a rounded touchscreen around both edges, so both sides of the phone can now deliver specialized alerts and be touch sensitive. Coming to both phones later this year is Samsung Pay, which bundles in Loop Pay's magnetic swipe emulator along with NFC, which means it should be accepted at almost any retailer that takes credit cards. And a new Gear VR. It takes advantage of the S6's improved display resolution, is 15% smaller than the older Gear VR, although it's still an innovator's edition. Both S6s go on sale April 10th around the world in white, pearl, black, sapphire, and gold platinum, with a blue topaz option for the S6 and a green emerald option for the S6 Edge.
Woo! That's a lot. Yeah. So
And no dancing.
no dancing.
It was just packing in the announcements.
Awesome. It was weird they put it on a Sunday, but I guess that's just when this conference started. So yeah.
Yeah, Mobile World Congress actually starts today, so this is
Okay.
getting in those pre-conference announcements like they
Got
always
it.
like to do.
Got it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this because Samsung flew me out. I think it was last week or the week before to San Francisco. They didn't even. I mean, I kind of knew it was the phone, but they didn't tell us. It was all NDA and secret, and they had a hood over my head. You
You didn't know you were going until the guys in the van grabbed you.
Exactly. They threw me in, and I was on a plane. It was scary, but I arrived and they talked about the phone, and I gotta say, having it in hand for the first time, I feel like I wasn't holding an Android device, and I've owned all the major Android devices before, but this felt like a Samsung device. Like I didn't think Android, and I don't mean Android is a negative, but it does have a negative connotation to some people, and it really has so many good features. I didn't think about the OS anymore, and I think that was great on Samsung. The screen is amazing. I literally said I thought these were demo phones at Best Buy where they has the picture, but you can't do anything with it. It was
Right,
that
where there's
clear.
like a sticker on a block of wood. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It looked stunning. Felt great in the hand. I got to say that 5.1 size to me really is perfect. It doesn't feel like if you hold the Note 4, if you hold the iPhone 6 Plus, it's wide. There's a wideness to it that kind of makes it fat. And this had that very familiar slim feel, and it didn't feel big at all. They got the size right. I saw the wireless charging, the integration of both standards. The chargers look great. So if I'm going to be a cynic, though, and I'm going to play both sides. If I'm a cynic, I look at it and I see the grills at the bottom, and I see the ports, and I say Apple. I see high quality materials, and I say Apple. I see integrated battery, no SD card, I say Apple. Emphasis on camera, Apple. Samsung Pay, Apple Pay. But the realist to me is basically saying they kind of had no choice. They had to up the quality of these phones, and the build quality is very, very, very good. The actual developer who created it was there, and you could tell the pride he had in it. They spent a long time getting it right, so they look great. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the biggest part of this, because a lot of people are dismissing it as a evolutionary, not revolutionary type of upgrade, which sometimes is the right thing to do if you don't have anything unusual to add. Samsung has been accused of adding things just to be gimmicky in the past. I don't think they did that this time. I think they improved on a lot of things, which is good. But that addition of the LoopPay magnetic transfer system, it's all about getting people to realize it's there. If people get that the Samsung phone is not like the Apple Pay phone, because I think a lot of people think of Apple Pay and they're like, oh yeah, it's handy, but not every place takes it. If they get that, like, hey, guess what? The Samsung payment system Samsung Pay is now everywhere. You don't have to have special equipment. It's going to be a hard thing for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, I think, because they just assume like, oh, well, if it's a phone, you have to have special equipment. The fact that you don't, if people latch onto that, could be huge. Could be the biggest announcement of Mobile World Congress. This phone, at least in the U.S., can be used anywhere that has a credit card terminal.
I know, I thought so too. And then I watched one of your shows after I played with it last week, and you were talking about LoopPay, and you were guessing that this was going to be added to it, and you were correct. And the worry that you mentioned is that the standard, isn't it technically going away at the end of this year? Or
well, yeah. So this launches in April. You'll be able to take advantage of it between now and October, but it does have NFC behind it, and they did announce partnerships with the banks, and those were the two things we didn't know when we talked about it before. So now it is the perfect phone, because even after October, when those magnetic swipe terminals start to be replaced, they won't be replaced everywhere at once. It's not like magically one day they just all disappear, right? You all know a place, the corner store, the diner, some bar you go to that is not going to have that new terminal until the last minute when they're forced to do it. And you would be able to use your phone to pay at those places. They wouldn't have to add any special equipment. And yet, when the new terminals come in, it sounds like Samsung Pay will also still work. So this is a big advantage. I don't know if I think it's a bigger advantage than maybe people realize.
Oh no, I saw the same thing when they were talking about it. Once they explained the details, it's going to be huge. I'm worried about how it was going to continue and extend, but the killer part is that they added integration with the banks, or they got together with them. As far as, because I talked to them directly about, I'm like, look guys, you are going to get hell for the removable battery and SD card. From a technical perspective, I understand they had to, because you can't have those high quality materials, with the removable battery. Just like HTC and the Nexus and so on. They had to put that all in one package. And techies may hate it, but look, techies are the verbal they're the minority, and they're the what do you call that? They speak the loudest, but they're not really the majority here when it comes to the SD card. Most people, 98% of people, do not change out and use the SD card. They just don't. And if they could take that away and make it easier for people to use, that's what they did. And so it's controversial, but I feel like they did what was best for this phone. It's a nice. The camera is nice. I feel like they got everything right. Like there might actually be a phone that can compete with the iPhone directly. Because iPhone is still the #1 selling best phone. This one is going to come close to it. I would say my favorite one was the Edge. I don't know. It's something about that wrap, just that having a full screen to watch video. I was sold on that. If I was interested in an Android phone or a Samsung phone, I'm getting this phone.
Yeah, my wife Eileen was really upset about the removable battery thing. Well, because just the day before we had driven like an hour out to Pomona, California, and on the way back she just swapped her battery out in her Note 4. And so she's like, "Yeah, see, I wouldn't have been able to do that yesterday if I had this new Galaxy S6." So it's just the way I'm like, "Yeah, but then we'll just get you a Qi charger in your." That's all you gotta do. So
my last thought obviously is the Pay. You got Samsung Pay, Google Wallet, Google Pay's developer one, and Android Pay. It's too many pays. I wish they would unify under one.
Oh, by the way, Lamarr, this just in. PayPal announced they're acquiring Paydiant, the app behind Currency.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Because I was just about to mention Currency as the other one, I call that the Rite Aid app or Target or whoever. And yeah, it's too many pays. There has to be some unity under that, especially under the Android platform. They just shouldn't. Even if Google and Android, they understand what they're doing, the consumer does not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to know.
And the dirty secret is that Google Wallet works at an Apple Pay terminal, and Apple Pay works at a Google Wallet terminal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there really is just one system. It's the NFC system. So, honestly, come on, guys.
It's just the names.
Yeah. And maybe PayPal will stop Currency from doing the silly things like turning off NFC at terminals. At least
hopefully. I'm glad. Well, we'll see. I'm glad somebody did something with them.
Hat tip to W. Scottus 1, by the way, for reminding me about the Paydiant acquisition in the chat room.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Anything else about Samsung before we move to HTC?
Yeah, get the Samsung. Don't get an HTC. No.
I kind of agree with you. I was not flown anywhere, but I also agree. HTC announced a new one, the HTC One M9. It looks similar to the M8. But it has a Snapdragon 810 processor, moves the ultra-pixel camera to the front, nice front camera, in favor of a 28-megapixel camera on the back. Comes with 100 gigabytes of Google Drive storage for free. NextWeb says the M9 will come to Taiwan and Europe in mid-March and the US later in the month. Nobody's really impressed by it. They're like, looks like a nicer M8. Okay. HTC also announced a standalone fitness tracker called the Grip GPS. It's rugged and waterproof with an OLED touchscreen. Goes on sale in the U.S. for $199 this spring, and The Verge says a series of global devices will come later this year. But here's the big one, Lamarr. HTC and Valve are getting together on the HTC Vive, a virtual reality headset coming sometime in the spring to developers. This is not like the Gear VR. This is not like cardboard. You don't just slide an HTC phone. It is a full-on virtual reality headset, competitor to the Oculus Rift. And Gadget says it will plug into your PC and work with some kind of tracked controllers. And they have partners on board like Google, Lionsgate, and HBO.
Wait, Valve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Valve. The Steam people,
Steam,
the game
yeah.
makers, the orange box. Yeah, that
Wow.
Valve.
It's like they don't even have their own box together yet, and they're jumping into virtual reality. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just surprised Valve is part of this. Wow.
Well, there's been rumors about Valve making a virtual reality headset for a long time. If you remember, Jerry Ellsworth was there working on augmented reality, and I guess they closed that project and decided to go virtual reality route. And HTC is going to make the hardware for them. So that's where we ended up here.
Maybe this gives HTC the edge finally, where maybe they can't win in phones. Maybe they.
Maybe this is where they come out, with, I'm not saying they'll beat the Oculus. Oculus has a big head start, but Oculus needs a competitor, and so far Project Morpheus is the only one we've really seen that's not a slide your phone in it, right? Like full-on headset. Engadget reports Sony announced the Xperia Z4 tablet and the mid-range Xperia M4 Aqua phone at Mobile World Congress. Z4 tablet's pitched as an iPad Air competitor, has a Snapdragon 810 octa-core processor, 2560 by 1600 screen, 6.1 millimeters thick, weighs 389 grams, runs Android 5.0, and then the M4 Aqua is kind of an upgraded Z3, 5-inch 720p display. Either of these float your boat?
Because I played around with the last version of this, the Z2. I had that in hand. This looks really nice. Like the specs are amazing. What is it? 2K screen.
Yeah.
The problem that Sony continues to have is that their marketing. They should not be marketing as an iPad competitor. You cannot compete. No one can compete with the iPad right now. It's just Android people know that too. It's a great Android tablet, but until Android has apps and things that make this experience robust, it's just the wrong marketing for it.
Because immediately the Apple fans get their backs up and refuse to believe that the tablet is very good, right? That's not an iPad competitor. But if you let them sort of admit it on their own, like, wow, that's as good as an iPad, that's going to be more compelling.
There you go. Yeah, because it looks great.
Yeah. Let's run through the rest of these real quickly. Next Web reports Microsoft launched the Lumia 640, 5-inch Windows phone that will go on sale in April. Ships with Windows 8.1, but will be upgradable to Windows 10 later this year. Comes with 8 gigabytes of onboard storage, single and dual SIM variants. Also, the super-sized 640 XL with a 5.7-inch HD display and 13-megapixel camera, 9 millimeters thick, goes on sale in April, and both of them include 1 year of Office 365 included. All right. Lumia 64 around 139 euros, LTE version 159, XL version with 3G 189 euros, and the LTE 219 euros. Qualcomm will announce the forthcoming 64-bit cryo-based Snapdragon 820 will run its Zeroth cognitive computing platform. That means your phone could supposedly learn how to protect against unknown malware and use interfaces that recognize expressions and head movements along with other contextual behavior.
Yeah.
Your phone's going to learn about you, Lamarr. It's going to know everything you need. It's going to be your best friend.
My iPhone already knows everything.
Qualcomm also announced a 3D fingerprint sensor called Sense ID, which uses ultrasound, so it could work through metal as well as glass.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Reuters reports NTT Docomo and Nokia are partnering to bring 5G wireless to the Olympics in Tokyo in 2020 on the 70 gigahertz spectrum at 2 gigabits per second. VaccineNet reports AT&T and Nokia believe 5G may be rolled out elsewhere in the world by 2020.
I can see it. Yeah. I will move to Tokyo for that.
Seriously. Let's go. Let's cover it.
Yes.
ZDNet reports Cyanogen and Qualcomm will partner up to provide Cyanogen OS for Qualcomm reference devices. Now, the reference design program is meant to streamline introduction of devices at lower development costs, which might give Cyanogen an edge on getting on low-cost devices, which is what they want.
Yep.
Yola is launching Sailfish OS 2.0 and issued a call to companies from Russia, India, China, and Japan to join the crew. It will have an improved interface and support for Intel chips, including enhanced notifications, event view, simpler access to functions. Sailfish 2.0 is available for licensing to manufacturers and partners right now. Another one trying to get in at that low end.
Right.
There's also the HP Spectre X360, which I know Paul Thurrott was really excited about, featuring Broadwell processor, 15.9 millimeters thick, 3.3 pounds, 4 gigs of RAM in the starting version that's only $899, 128 gig SSD. It's a nice looking laptop.
Yeah, I think HP does well in that area. $800. I think that's good.
And Xiaomi announced a GoPro-style action camera for $64. The Yi action camera records video at 1080p, 60 frames per second, includes a 16-megapixel camera, uses Sony's Exmor RBSI CMOS image sensor, has 64 gigabytes of memory, and weighs 73 grams, can go 40 meters underwater, available in China at the Mi.com store.
Yeah, they're competing. I didn't know there was a $130 GoPro. I thought they were all like $300-400, but they're competing with the lower end GoPro.
Yeah, so they're half the price of the cheapest GoPro. And that, in case you'd forgotten, that's the headlines.
That was the whole headline.
That was the headlines.
All right, let's do the main stories now.
All right, time for the big story of today. No, the Samsung was basically our big story, the Samsung announcement. Yeah. But we had so much. I didn't want to skimp on some of these announcements, even though they were older from Sunday, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. And there's more than that out there. There's a ton of news coming out of Mobile World Congress. There's always lots of news comes out of Mobile World Congress, but I feel like it was an avalanche this time.
Yeah, I mean, even what you covered was just a lot. And great job on covering it.
All right, thanks, man. All right, our pick of the day comes from Eric and has nothing to do with Mobile, Worlds, or Congress. Actually, it could have to do with Congress if they drink tea. Eric says, I know you have a lot of coffee picks, so I thought I'd throw in one for the tea lovers in the audience. I've been buying my loose leaf tea from theteatable.com for a few years now, and I can't recommend them highly enough. They have a great selection of teas, black, green, herbal, you name it, at great prices. They also have a pretty good selection of teapots and other accessories, including the Finum Brew Basket, which could be a pick in its own right. So check out theteatable.com if you're looking for some tea. Eric seems to think it's good. I haven't tried it yet. Do you drink a lot of tea, Lamarr? Are you tea drinker?
I do. I have a loose tea little pot. I just don't use loose tea in it. I put bags in. Or I was using it really for ginger. I would grate ginger.
Oh, yeah.
I was drinking a lot of ginger tea to like heal some sickness.
Heal your voice and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good for that. So I might try some of that.
The tea table. Yeah, and I like that you can buy accessories as well. It's one of the things I like about Misto Box for buying coffee is that they have a really good selection of coffee accoutrement as well.
Ooh.
I know. It's hanging around with Patrick Beja.
You're very fancy.
Send your picks to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Time for one email here from Ernesto in snowy yet warming New York City. He says, first-time emailer, proud Patreon supporter. I wanted to get your thoughts on the nature of smartwatches on iOS. Apple's system is closed, leaving potential watchmakers out. Even the Pebble works, but is limited. Can this become a problem for Apple? Demand for watches is not there yet, so it's not so now. But if or when watches do take off and iOS only has one true option, while Android has a plethora of options, could it cost Apple iPhone/Apple Watch sales? Ernesto's asking the question, right? This goes back to IBM versus Mac circa 1984. Like, I can't put Mac OS on other machines, so I have to buy a Mac. Is that going to hurt them? Because I can put DOS on lots of machines. Fast forward to Windows versus OS 10, Android versus iOS. It's a good question, Ernesto. It's not a bad question. How much will it work this time? Having iOS only available for the iPhone, having iPhone work essentially best with OS 10, certainly has not hurt the iPhone.
No, I don't think this is an issue. I keep seeing so many forums where people are trying to, hey, let's put this LG watch against the Apple Watch or this Samsung. They're not in competition. That you cannot use, the Android ones with with Pebble being the exception, which is kind of a hybrid. Like there's no competition here. If you're on Android, you're not going to think about getting an Apple Watch and vice versa. No one on iOS wants a Android watch. I just don't think there's going to be any type of competition here.
He makes the point that Pebble does work with iOS. It's limited.
It's a hybrid. Yeah.
And I almost think that's the best case scenario, is something that's really about delivering information to your wrist and not worrying about what operating system your phone has. I think it's a problem for Android Wear that you can only use it with Android phones.
Yeah.
Like it'd be smarter if Android Wear worked with iOS, which it could, right?
Knowing Google, they probably will do something like that.
Yeah.
I think Pebble is good, especially if you're a person who switches devices, or you just, you're one of those early adopters who gets multiple. Pebble's perfect for you. You don't have to
Anyway.
buy 2 or 3 watches.
I think a lot of people may think it's the obvious question and like, oh, well, of course Apple will do fine, but you never know. It's always a risk when you take that proprietary, and I wouldn't call it a closed system because they have an open app system, so you're going to get people quibble with that. But saying like, we're not going to let other watches work with the Apple Watch system. Like Pebble can work with iOS over Bluetooth and stuff, but we're not actually going to let, we're not going to license out our watch system. It's interesting. I'm still shaky on the whole watch ecosystem anyway. Well, that is it for this very informative, hopefully, Mobile World Congress special edition of the Daily Tech News Show. Lamarr, thank you for sticking with me. I know it was a little supersized issue today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Lamarr Wilson, you can find him on Twitter at twitter.com/Lamarr Wilson. That's 2 R's in Lamarr, as well as at LamarrWilson.com, which also has 2 R's in Lamarr. Yes. And his YouTube channel. What you got going on there these days?
Oh, I got some good stuff here. We're this month, the last month, I've been really focusing on gaming because I got some partnerships with Nintendo and, as of recently, Microsoft with the Xbox. So, look forward to some more Amiibo unboxings because people seem to like those, and more discussions of new games coming up this week.
And of course, when you go, it's youtube.com/Lamarr Wilson.
It is.
Is that right?
Yeah.
When you go there, you'll hear this, which I feel I'm contractually obligated to play at least one time.
Yes, you
when
are.
Lamarr comes on.
Excellent.
So thank you, man. It's always a pleasure, and I really appreciate giving me the inside scoop on the Galaxy S6. That was awesome.
Yeah, I loved it, man. Yeah, I didn't even do a video. You are the guy who got my information.
Woo! I am honored now. Thank you.
No problem.
Go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support, folks. If you like what you hear here and you want us to keep doing it, all we ask is that if you can afford it, give us $1 a month. You can give us more if you want. We even have a few rewards for people who give us more. But we just ask you to put a price on it. If you get some value out of the show, give a little value back if you can afford it. If you don't get any value of the show, why are you listening? But patreon.com/AceDetect is the main way to do that. And thanks to all our bosses who just funded us for another month. You guys are the best. Our email address is feedback. Thanks, boss. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can call us 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Listen to the show live at tuneinalphageekradio.com. And visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. It's Beja Tuesday. Talk to you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Was that my laugh at the end?
All the headlines.
Yes, that was the whole world, the whole thing.
You don't have to go to Barcelona now, as long as you can get your hand on some Hamon.
I'll be honest with you. Like, even with CS, I'm so glad when your show exists, and it's because I wouldn't want to be flown out there as much as I need to travel international. I feel like it would be so overwhelming.
Exactly.
To try to be a reporter and get all that on your own.
It's why I'm not saying I'll never go to CES. There are great reasons to go to CES, none of which have to do with improving my coverage. I feel like the best coverage is when you can sit back for the kind of show I do. Not if I'm Engadget or The Verge, it's entirely different. But for the overview show like this, to be like, hey, here's a summary of what's going on. It's actually harder to do when you're there.
Yeah.
It really is.
I second that.
And that's why what Jenny and Allison and folks did, and Lamarr, you did the year before, being like willing to say like, here's the things I saw is so valuable because it gives us a little bit of that juice without actually having to sit there.
Oh, you started your show. Was I one of the first?
Yeah.
From CES?
Yeah.
Wow.
You were. You and Nicole, I think, were our CES guests, right?
Wow. Yeah.
You were 2014.
You were just starting up. Yeah.
It was the second week of the show,
and I demand a 60% stock, and you gave it to me, so now I'm rich. So, yeah, I remember that. I do remember
all
that.
the thousands,
hundreds of dollars.
Patriots, you are paying me. Actually, thank you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's the whole reason we have to have stretch goals for Veronica is because Lamar's gold-plated sofa.
Lamar's cut. Everybody, we're joking. Lamar, how are things? It always makes me so happy when you're on this show.
Oh, I enjoy being on the show.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't overstay our welcome with the 45-minute version of the show.
Yeah. Especially when we're on the larger versions of the show because we get more Lamarr Wilson.
This was great. I was gonna say it's been a great month. This month just started, but February was one of my best months. So it was just things are starting to look up now.
Yay.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear it.
Very happy about that.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I'm independent now on YouTube, and flying solo's been great. Everything went well, and so
Yay.
partnering with some different companies. Got something really special happened with Nintendo later this month. They just called me about that, and I was like, yes, I will do it.
Yay.
I will beat the next Mario game. Oops, I'm not. I wasn't supposed to.
Did you say, yes, I will do it?
Yes, I did. I played that jingle. That jingle will be in the next Super Mario 4D world.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I will be the fourth dimension. Yes.
In Lamarr Vision.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
It's going to be awesome.
What do we got for titles?
Oh, boy, we have all the titles to go with all the headlines. We have, I'm refreshing for fairness.
Samsung strikes back. Oh.
Jenny Josephson submitted all the headlines. Too Many Pays is number 4 for a top vote getter right now. Too Many Pays, as in too many ways to pay.
Yeah,
too many payment type things we talked about.
The cloud is literally in the cloud from Silverblade. Google subtracts Google Plus. There are a number of variations on the plus minus Google minus
that's a
plus
good one.
equals Hangouts. Those are all good. I like this, which my wife was so upset about. That's a title.
She was pissed. It's
Well,
funny.
yeah.
Okay, here's the kind of family we have. My sister-in-law and her husband, who works for Gizmodo, were visiting because we had to go to a cotillion for a cousin on Saturday. So Sunday morning, everyone gets up and goes, "Ooh, are we going to stream the Samsung announcement?" And everyone gets on the couch.
Oh, boy.
And we start streaming the Samsung announcement. And when they announced the no removable battery, Eileen was like, "Oh, I hate that. Why would you? No, that's horrible. I understand the SD card, but the battery, please."
She works for Google, and the Nexus is a sealed phone.
That's why she didn't get the Nexus.
I don't know.
She got the Note 4 partly because it had the battery replaceable.
Wow. All right.
Oh, I like this title at the very bottom here. There are 2 titles I really like, which is one is The 4 Dimensions of Lamarr Wilson.
That's not going to happen.
And the more Lamarr, the better. Lamarr Wilson, if you didn't know, moves backwards and forwards in time.
Well, that's true, but I didn't really want the public to know
that's
that.
under NDA. God, I'm so stupid.
Yeah, I told you. Stop telling people my stuff.
I kind of like drones and lasers and satellites. Oh my!
Yeah, I
it
like that
collectively has 6 votes.
I do
submitted
like
by both W. Scottus 1 and Silverblade.
I do like that.
Jax, that's your gourd. Come here. We're on the internet, man. Come on. Jax.
Yeah, this is serious business, Jax.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they can hear, generally speaking, things.
We can hear Jenny yelling at Jax.
The serious portion of the show is over. Hi. I mean, this is still a serious portion of the
Very
show.
serious.
I had to
Very
go to
serious
my landlord today and slam some of these dog owners in his building
Because
they think their dogs are the kings of the earth and don't have to be walked around with leashes. And I am very I'm very against it. I don't like a dog running up to me.
Oh, and I apologize for that because my dog's always.
I'm super guilty. I've done that too.
It's in your house. That's very no. But Jenny, you're in a different situation. I know where you live. You're not in that kind of building. Like there's people in
You're talking about just like out in public spaces.
Yeah, well, in public spaces, but definitely in the building itself, where I'm walking out my apartment and the dog saw me and it wasn't like
charging
me.
up.
It just came running. It's like I don't know your animal. That's what I told the lady. It's like, and the rule in the building is supposed to have it on leashes, and so the landlord said, "I will take care of it, Sir Lamarr." She didn't look me in my eyes. She did well. Told her to to look down.
She
exactly.
backed out of the room while facing you.
Yeah.
To be fair, just so you know, I complained about the same thing as a dog owner in the condo I lived in Oakland because we always walked our dogs in a leash in the hallway, and there was a dog that would charge up to my dog. And Django's like, she's totally well behaved now, but she was young then. I didn't know what she was going to do. She's a Rottweiler with a lot of jaw strength. And I was just like, that's not okay. Partly because I'm worried about your dog. Like, my dog's on a leash, is under control, but then your dog comes out of nowhere unexpectedly. I may not be able to get her under control by the time something bad happens. Of course, now I wouldn't even worry about that because I feel like I've lived with Django for so long. I know exactly she wouldn't do anything. But I was just like, that's, we need to be more careful. And I was a dog owner saying that. So
yeah, and that's the issue. There's one guy with the big black dog, and he like I kind of snapped him because it happened twice in a row, and I was like, dude, and he's like, well, I wouldn't have it off the leash if he wasn't nice. He's not going to do anything. That's like, you don't understand. That's not the point. I don't know your dog. Yeah. And if I see a big dog coming at me, I'm going to get in the defense stance, and I may need to take it out. And I'm just saying because I don't know your dog.
Yeah. Lamarr has surprisingly large jaw strength as well. A lot of people don't realize this.
No, it's like, I will bite your dog, dude. Don't.
Lamarr, when are you going to come visit? When are you going to come visit me?
Aren't you married? Can we talk about this later?
Wow.
When are you going to come visit here?
Jenny thought she was changing to a safe topic.
Like,
DTNS office space.
When are you gonna come visit? When you give me an invitation and I'll make it happen.
All right. Okay, because I want you to come visit, and then we're gonna go get a burger. Do you eat burgers?
I do now.
Yeah.
No, I eat burgers, of course. I love burgers.
All right, we're gonna make it a plan because I feel like you live too close for me to never hang out with you.
We will make it happen.
All right. Yay.
Yeah, I always say I'm busy, but it's just because I'm just doing stuff. Just say, hey, Lamarr, are you available tomorrow? I'll make myself available.
All right, that's awesome. I'd like you to meet my husband, Matt, too.
Oh, yeah, I did meet him. Yeah, okay, cool.
You met him. Did you meet him?
Wait, at Tom Merritt's little thing?
At Tom Merritt's little thing, yeah.
Why did I say, why say your full name like it was at the Tom Merritt extravaganza?
I'm right here, Lamarr.
Yeah, exactly. At the Tom Merritt Variety Hour?
Yeah.
Was he there? Yeah.
Yeah, but
don't look me in the eye.
Exactly.
He was the guy that brought pizza, but he was sort of like in make people happy, not talk to specific people mode. And I'd really like you to meet him specifically.
I'd like him to not make you happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See the real guy for what he really is. Okay. Yeah. No problem. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Awesome. All right. Invitation forthcoming. All right, I gotta go because I'm going to lunch with some people.
You have to go. Wow, we really are ready.
Wow.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to a lunch at 2. That did not happen.
At 2, you can't. You
can never leave at 2.
2:30 is.
Yeah, but I was gonna go at 2:15. Like the lunch was at 2. I was gonna go.
Yeah,
at 2:15.
no.
So I made lunch come to us here at the office, and now we're gonna go downstairs and eat. So.
Well, goodbye, Jenny.
It was such a great time hanging out with you, Tom Merritt, my great boss, and you, Lamarr Wilson, who's just boss. Like, you are awesome.
Folks, if you, like me, are going to miss Jenny, you can find more at tellitanyway.com, which has 4.5 episodes now.
4.5, and it's going to have a really great one on Friday.
You have your own podcast?
I have a podcast.
Is it a video?
It's audio only because I'm not crazy.
Unlike me.
Video podcasts anymore. I do audio is the max of what I can achieve in my current allowable time. It's a storytelling podcast.
I am definitely adding that. What's the site?
tellitanyway.com/subscribe, and then it gives you the feed burner link with the options to subscribe. And we've done stories about fear, shame, animals, childhood, and this Friday is about summer camp. And I'm so excited about the one about summer camp. It features original music. I could not be more excited.
Consider this added.
Oh, yay!
I love storytelling, so definitely.
Well, believe me, you and Tom are on my list of people to build up to. And Roger. We forgot Roger. What the heck?
No. Wait.
Can we have Roger like come in also on our DTNS account so that like we stop forgetting him?
Yeah, we could do that.
Hello.
Sorry, Roger.
It's
We
fine.
just went on
I
a
was
tear.
working on my resume.
Did you hear the?
He's leaving you all.
Fair enough, man.
I work on them constantly.
Somebody hire Roger, please. Not that we don't want him helping us out. In fact, we do. So
Yeah.
hire him part-time, but he needs a,
Yeah, we
a real
do.
job.
We
So
want
I-
him on this show.
So I've been wanting to ask since I'm here with Roger. I remember Roger from
Jenny, we should let you go.
Original
Bye,
Three.
Jenny.
Hi, Roger.
Bye.
Bye,
Hey,
Jenny.
what's up?
Hey, it's good to see you.
Go have lunch.
It's been a few years.
I think last time I saw you was at Leo's place, I think.
Yeah, and then I did a little stint on Revision 3 too. Yeah, so what is your? Because I always miss it. What is your role here?
My role?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is your role here, Roger?
I basically help find stories, and then I keep Tom company.
Okay, cool. I saw you on one that I was watching on TV, and I was like, oh, cool, Roger's. But you weren't interacting with the show, and I didn't know.
The idea is that we need a video editor when we get to the $20,000 a month level, which is when we're going to start doing video.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like Roger to do that, although he's probably going to get a full-time job before that. But the idea was to get him used to, or familiar, not used to. He's done
Familiar
this for years.
with the show.
Familiar with how we do the show.
Got it.
So when we got to that point, it would be easy for him to go like, okay, I kind of know what you need for that next step.
Perfect. Cool.
Plus, he was, he's a dad now, so
I'm
I figured
babysitting most of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
we'd give him some contact with the outside world.
Well, it's very generous of you.
All right. Well, it's March. Roger, we should do an East Meets West soon.
Yes.
And it's also 2:30. So goodbye, video people. Thank you for watching.